Tane Ora for me is, well, I'm relatively new to this whole experience because this is my first time I've attended the Tane Ora conference. But to me, I think at the end of the day, the whole ora, the word ora and the word modi goes together, like Tane Ora, Tane Modi. And I think it's a time now that men are starting to look in the mirror, and it's a time for reflection and a time to ask themselves, you know, are we doing enough for our children? Are we doing enough for our wahine? Are we doing enough for our people? So I think Tane Ora encompasses all that kind of thing, that we're now reflecting upon our lives. Some of us haven't had the privileged lives. Some of us have had a lot of abuse and raised in a different way. So I think it's a time for a certain amount of cleansing in terms of moving forward, and again looking at their life force, looking at their modi, and clearing the minds of all the clutter, of all the stuff that has been impinged on their minds in a bad way, and start to look at themselves in a refreshing way, with a more of that word ora, you know, to live, and living it in a pure, more pure way. So, you know, the whole word ora and modi and health, and Tane Ora kind of encompasses all those kind of areas. That's to me, but you know, I've still got a lot to learn. So it could also mean let's look for the youth, you know, let's see what we can do for our youth, and start to grow towards a better, more positive future. I think we also have the fact that Tane Ora can also mean, to me, because we come from a warrior race, a warrior background, is there a way to utilize that warrior energy and turn it into a positive force to help improve our thinking, to help improve the way we care about our whānau, to help improve the way we look at ourselves? So yes, that's what comes to my mind when I say Tane Ora, Tane te wai ora, Tane mahuta, Tane the god of forest, Tane te wai ora, Tane the giver of life. So yes, it's a time to reflect, cleanse, and promote positivity using that warrior energy. Pēhea tērā. Well, I think, let me say, one has to be bold. And by the word bold, I mean courageous. And I'm trying to say being bold and courageous because sometimes the magic is on that other side of the things you fear. Many of us don't get anywhere because we don't try. So try. That's one. Just try your best. Try it. You'll know if you like it or not. Try. Do the best you can. And there's one more. Be bold and courageous in terms of giving things a go. Sometimes the magic is on the other side of fear, and we tend to sometimes have so much peer pressure. Yeah, bro, you don't want to do that. Yeah, fella, what do you think you're doing? But sometimes you have to be the one that stands up. You have to be the one that's different. You have to be the one that takes that first step. So try, do, be bold and courageous. The only one I can really think of that I used to look up to was my granddad. And he used to just milk his cows and ride a horse. But I loved hanging out with him. He taught me about calluses on your hand, hard work, riding the horse. He taught me how to ride a horse. With leadership, I think it's a tricky one. I think they just the leaders seem to flourish. I'm more of the opinion where, you know, we're all paddlers really. We're all kaihoi in our waka, and we're on a voyage of life on our waka. You know what I mean? And to get anywhere in life, you need paddlers, and you need to paddle your waka towards your goal, right? And so that's what leadership is about in a way. It's clarifying which way your waka wants to go in terms of what you want to achieve in your life, what are your immediate goals, and the leadership will come from there. So you have to become your own leader. You have to become your own navigator. Because sometimes when you're paddling on the waka, it gets rough. The ocean gets rough. Life tosses up waves of uncertainty. Sometimes things get bad. Turns, you know, the storm happens. You can't see where you're going. So you have to have a clear and a passion for whatever you're after. You know what I mean? So I have been blessed in the past that, you know, I have been around a number of leaders, but my leaders have come through family, my granddad, my uncles, and those are the people I respect, especially my uncles. I have one leader in our family called Uncle Pat Stafford, and he ties into the South Island too, but he's generally at home looking after the cows, looking after a herd of cows. He's a farmer. And you know what? Those farmers, because they're looking after a herd of cows, they can look after a herd of people quite easily as well. You know what I mean? So they become great leaders. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm sure it's because they're used to handling a whole lot of labor, a whole lot of mixed cows and putting them in here and there. But you know, those are my respectful elders. Also, when I was growing up, I had a lot of leaders in terms of my kapahaka, people who taught me how to haka, how to maurako. So they're all around us. I find inspiration, for example, from reading Monty Souter's book, Price of Citizenship, where he wrote all about Company C on the East Coast and researched, and he gathered so much information. I find inspiration in those writings of his, in the recordings that he had with all those battalion kaumatua that went overseas. So we as a Māori race too, you know, we suffered a lot because a lot of our kaumatua never came home. So it wiped out half the leadership of this country, half our leaders, you know, they never came home. They were all buried in the North African desert. So we were left short in a lot of ways. So it's time to look at ourselves. It's time to look at ourselves and say, hey, we got to step up to the mark. Maybe it's time to get back to our marae, get back to our paipai, start learning about our own kawa, so we become the leaders of the future, you and I.